I only have $2. Please let me shower at your home, cowboy, said the dirty Apache woman. On the far edge of human space, where star maps ended and guesswork began, there was a lonely planet called Dustfall 9. It was a dry world, covered in red sand and slow-moving clouds that looked like tired ghosts drifting across the sky. The wind never stopped there. It whispered through broken rocks and empty valleys, carrying stories no one could hear anymore. Cal Mercer lived in a small metal station near a shallow canyon. His job was simple but important. He managed a water relay for passing ships. Water was rare in this part of the galaxy, and travelers often depended on Cal's station to refill their tanks and continue their journey. Some people called him a space cowboy because he lived alone, fixed his own machines, and trusted his instincts more than any computer. Cal liked the quiet. He liked the sound of the wind and the steady hum of his water pumps. Most days were the same. He would wake up, check the filters, clean the solar panels, and scan the sky for ships. Sometimes days passed without seeing anyone at all. One morning, the sky looked different. A thin line of smoke cut across the clouds. Cal stepped outside and shaded his eyes. High above, a small transport ship was struggling to stay in the air. Its engines flickered with weak blue light, and its flight path wobbled like a bird with a broken wing. Cal's heart beat faster. Crashes were not rare on Dustfall 9. The planet was hard on machines and even harder on living beings. The ship disappeared behind a ridge of rock, and a few seconds later, Cal heard a distant boom that rolled across the land like thunder. He did not think twice. He grabbed his jacket, a water pack, and a basic medical kit. Then he climbed into his rover and drove toward the crash site. The ground was rough, and the wind pushed against the vehicle, but Cal kept going. After several minutes, he saw the ship. It had landed sideways in a shallow valley, one wing broken, the hull covered in dust and scorch marks. Cal parked at a safe distance and walked closer, calling out in a calm voice. "Hello? Anyone alive in there?" The ship's door opened slowly with a tired hiss. A figure stepped out. She was not human. She stood about the same height as Cal, but her skin had a soft, dark blue color, and faint glowing lines ran along her arms and face like patterns made of light. Her clothing was torn and covered in red dust. Her long hair, tied back in a loose knot, was full of sand and ash. She looked at Cal with careful eyes as if measuring him. "My name is Naira," she said in slow, clear words. "I am from the Apache Star Clan." Cal nodded. He had heard of them. A traveling people known for crossing dangerous regions of space in small groups, always moving, always searching for safe paths. "You're a long way from any trade route," Cal said. "Are you hurt?" Naira shook her head. "My ship is hurt. My supplies are gone." She paused, then reached into a small pouch at her side. She pulled out 2 small metal coins and held them in her open hand. "I only have 2 credits," she said. "I need water. I need a place to clean the dust from my skin and my gear, please." Cal looked at the coins. 2 credits would not even cover a single liter of water at most stations. He looked at her ship, broken and silent, and at the long, empty land around them. "Come with me," he said. Naira blinked, surprised. "You will help me?" "Yeah," Cal replied. "That's what people do." They drove back to the water station together. Naira sat in the passenger seat, holding her pouch close, watching the world pass by with quiet wonder. Dustfall 9 was nothing like the green starfields of her clan's home systems. It was simple, empty, and honest. When they arrived, Cal showed her the small living area attached to the station. It had a narrow bed, a table, and a wash unit built into the wall. The water system was old but reliable. "You can use this," Cal said. "Take your time." Naira placed the 2 credits on the table. Cal pushed them back toward her. "Keep them," he said. "You might need them later." She studied his face as if trying to understand something deeper than words. "Your kind is strange," she said softly. Cal smiled. "Yeah, I hear that a lot." While Naira cleaned herself and her gear, Cal checked her ship through the station's scanners. The damage was serious but not hopeless. A few broken systems, a cracked fuel line, and a navigation array that looked like it had been hit by a small meteor. As Naira returned, looking calmer and stronger, Cal explained what he had found. "You won't be flying anywhere today," he said. "But I can help fix it. Might take a day or 2. Naira nodded. "My clan is waiting for me beyond this sector." They travel through a place called the Dry Spine. It is dangerous, but it is hidden from those who hunt us. Cal raised an eyebrow. "Someone hunting you?" Naira hesitated, then spoke. There are groups in the galaxy who control water, fuel, and safe travel paths. They do not like those who move freely. They charge high prices. If you cannot pay, you are forced to turn back or disappear. Cal felt a tightness in his chest. He had seen that kind of power before, even among humans. The universe was big, but greed traveled fast. "You don't deserve that," he said. Naira gave a small, sad smile. "Deserve does not always matter in space." The rest of the day passed with work. Cal showed Naira how the water pumps worked, how the filters cleaned dust from the air, and how humans used simple tools to solve complex problems. Naira shared stories of her clan's moving cities, ships that grew like living creatures, and star maps passed down through memory instead of machines. As the sun set, the sky turned deep orange and purple. They sat outside the station, watching the first stars appear. "You helped me for nothing," Naira said. "Why?" Cal thought for a moment. "A long time ago, humans were stuck on one small planet. We had wars, problems, and not enough for everyone. But some people helped each other anyway. That's how we got here, out among the stars." Naira looked at the sky. "Then maybe your kind will change the galaxy." A soft alarm sounded inside the station. Cal stood up and checked the scanner. "Ships," he said. "Two of them, they're not on any normal route." Naira's face grew serious. "They are searching." Cal took a deep breath. "Then we don't let them find you." He powered up the station systems and began sending out false signals, making it look like there was a large water supply far to the east. It was a risky move, but sometimes risk was all you had. The ships in the sky changed direction, following the fake signal. Naira watched in quiet amazement. "You would risk yourself for me?" Cal shrugged. "Wouldn't be the first time I bet on a stranger." The wind picked up, carrying the dust and the stars and the promise of something new. On a forgotten world at the edge of space, a simple act of kindness had started a journey neither of them could yet imagine. The night on Dustfall 9 was cold and wide. Stars filled the sky like scattered lights from a broken city. Cal stood outside his station, watching the horizon where the false signal had pulled the strange ships away. The wind pushed dust across the ground in slow waves, as if the planet itself was breathing. Inside the station, Naira packed her gear carefully. Her hands moved with quiet focus, but her mind was not calm. She had seen many worlds, many kinds of people, but never someone like Cal. He did not ask for payment. He did not demand favors. He simply helped. When she stepped back outside, Cal was working on a small console attached to the side of the building. He looked up when he heard her boots on the metal steps. "They're still gone," he said. "My signal should keep them busy for a while." Naira nodded. "Then we must use this time well." They walked together toward her ship, which rested in the shallow valley like a tired animal. Cal opened his toolkit and began checking the broken fuel line. Naira held a light for him, shining it where he pointed. As they worked, the quiet between them felt easy, not heavy. The only sounds were the wind, the soft hum of tools, and the distant crackle of cooling metal. "My clan taught me that silence is also a kind of speech," Naira said after a while. "It tells you what someone truly feels." Cal smiled slightly. "What does mine say?" Naira thought. "It says you are not afraid to stand alone." Cal paused. He had not thought of it that way. He just did what felt right. After some time, Cal leaned back and wiped dust from his hands. "Fuel line is patched for now. It won't last forever, but it should get you moving." Naira looked at the ship. "The dry spine is still far, and my navigation system is damaged." Cal looked up at the stars, then back at her. "I might know a way." They returned to the station, where Cal opened an old metal case hidden under his workbench. Inside were thin sheets of glowing glass and a small device shaped like a flat stone. "This is a human star map core," he explained. "It's not fancy, but it holds routes that most people forgot, old paths, dangerous ones." Naira touched the glowing surface carefully. "Why do you have this?" Cal hesitated. "A long time ago, someone helped me. Gave me this when I needed a way out." He handed it to her. "It might help you through the dry spine." Naira's eyes widened. "This is very valuable," Cal shrugged. "So are you." Before she could respond, the scanner alarm sounded again. This time it was louder. Cal rushed to the console. "They're back, and they brought more." 3 ships appeared on the screen, moving fast and low. Naira's heart beat hard. "They know this area now. They will not leave easily." Cal thought quickly. "Then we don't stay." He ran to a side panel and began pulling cables and power cells. Naira followed, helping without needing to be told. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Turning my station into a ghost," Cal said. If I shut everything down and dump a power surge into the old water tanks, it'll look like a system failure. No signal, no value. The ground trembled as he triggered the surge. Lights flickered and died. The steady hum of the station faded into silence. The ships in the sky slowed, confused by the sudden loss of signals. "Let's go," Cal said. They ran to Naira's ship. Cal climbed into the pilot's seat and began the startup sequence. The engines coughed, then roared to life with a low, steady sound. The ship lifted off just as beams of scanning light touched the ground where the station had been. They flew low, skimming over the rocky land, then rose into the clouds. The stars opened around them like a great dark ocean. Naira took the controls once they were clear. "We head toward the dry spine," she said. Cal nodded. "I've never been there." "Few survive it," Naira replied. The ship entered a region of space where the stars twisted and stretched. Invisible forces pulled at the hull. The navigation system flickered, unsure of what to trust. Naira focused, her hands steady. "My people do not only follow machines, we follow patterns in light and shadow, in gravity and silence." Cal watched her work, amazed. A sudden wave of force hit the ship, throwing them sideways. Alarms rang. Cal grabbed a handle to keep from falling. "Easy, easy," he said, more to himself than to the ship. Naira adjusted the controls, guiding them between spinning rocks and glowing clouds of gas. The dry spine lived up to its name. Sharp lines of energy cut through space like the bones of some giant creature. Through it all, Naira kept going. After what felt like hours, the ship burst into calm space. The stars returned to their normal places. The alarms fell silent. They both sat back, breathing hard. "We made it," Cal said. Naira smiled for the first time since leaving her ship on Dustfall 9. "Your maps and your courage, together they are strong." They traveled for another day before reaching a small human outpost floating near a quiet blue star. It was made of connected metal rings and glowing windows, like a chain of light in the dark. As they docked, people gathered to watch. Humans and a few other species looked at the dusty ship and its tired passengers with curiosity. A tall woman in a simple uniform approached. "Welcome," she said. "I'm Mara. You look like you've had a long journey." Cal nodded. "You could say that." Naira stepped forward. "My clan needs help, a place to rest, to rebuild." Mara studied her face, then looked at Cal. "And you brought her here?" "Yeah," Cal said. "Felt like the right thing to do," Mara smiled. "Then you came to the right place." They were led inside, where warm light and clean air washed over them. Naira felt her shoulders relax for the first time in many cycles. Over the next hours, engineers began working on her ship. Messages were sent out to find her clan. Cal stood by a window watching the star outside. He felt both small and proud at the same time. Naira joined him. "Because of you, my people may survive." Cal shook his head. "Because of you, I remembered why I stay out there alone." She tilted her head. "Why is that?" "So when someone needs help," he said, "there's someone there to give it." Beyond the window, the stars kept shining. And somewhere out in the wide, waiting galaxy, a story was beginning to spread. The human outpost near the blue star was busier than it looked from the outside. Long halls curved through the metal rings, filled with soft light and the quiet sound of people moving, working, and talking in many languages. Screens on the walls showed star maps, ship paths, and messages from faraway places. Cal walked beside Naira as they followed Mara through the main corridor. He still felt strange being around so many people after so long on Dustfall 9. The air smelled clean, and the floor hummed gently under his boots, as if the station itself was alive. "This place is called Haven Loop," Mara explained. "It started as a small human refuel stop. Over time, it became something else, a place for travelers who need help, not just trade." Naira looked around with wonder. "My clan speaks of places like this in old stories." "Places where strangers become neighbors," Mara smiled. "We try." They reached a wide room with a clear wall that looked out into space. Beyond it, Naira's ship floated in a repair frame, surrounded by small machines and human engineers in light suits. "Your ship will take some time," Mara said, "but we can make it better than it was before." Naira bowed her head slightly. "That is more than I hoped for." Cal leaned against the wall, watching the stars drift past. For the first time in a long while, he did not feel like he was standing at the edge of the galaxy. He felt like he was standing in the middle of something important. Later that day, a message arrived. One of the outpost's signal officers ran into the room holding a glowing tablet. "We picked up a long-range transmission," he said. It matches the energy pattern Naira described. It could be her clan. Naira stepped forward quickly. Where are they? The officer showed a map. They're moving slow, avoiding main routes. They'll reach this system in 2 days if nothing stops them. Myra's face grew serious. The groups hunting them will be watching the same paths. Cal crossed his arms. So we make sure they don't get caught. That night, Haven Loop did not sleep. Engineers worked on Naira's ship and on several old human cargo ships parked nearby. They added stronger shields, better sensors, and quiet engines that could move without leaving clear trails. Cal helped where he could, carrying tools, checking power lines, and running messages between teams. He felt useful in a way he hadn't in years. Naira spent time in the communication room, sending signals to her clan using special light patterns only they would recognize. Her face was calm, but her hands sometimes shook. You don't have to be strong all the time, Cal said gently when he noticed. Naira looked at him. My people believe leaders must carry fear so others do not have to. Cal thought about that. Humans believe something similar. But we also believe in sharing the weight. She nodded slowly, as if testing the idea in her mind. The next day, the sensors picked up movement near the edge of the system. Not Naira's clan, something else. 3 large ships appeared on the main screen in the command room. They were dark and sharp-edged, built more for control than comfort. Myra frowned. Those are resource enforcement vessels. They claim to keep trade safe, but they decide who gets to travel. Naira's shoulders tightened. They are the ones who follow us. Cal felt a familiar tightness in his chest. Then they followed us here. The outpost's leaders gathered quickly. Humans and other species stood in a circle, speaking in calm but serious voices. We can't fight them, one engineer said. We don't have weapons like that. We don't need to fight, Cal said, surprising himself. Everyone turned to look at him. He took a breath. We need to confuse them, make them chase shadows. Mara raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. Cal stepped forward and pointed to the star map. This system has 3 old mining zones, empty but still full of signal noise. We send out fake movement from all 3, make it look like the clan went in different directions. Naira understood at once. My people can hide within the noise. We have done it before. The room grew quiet as people considered the plan. It's risky, Mara said, but so is doing nothing. They moved fast. Small ships from Haven Loop flew out to the old mining zones, releasing signal beacons that copied the energy patterns of Naira's clan. The beacons moved in wide, slow arcs like tired travelers crossing space. The dark ships changed course, splitting up to follow the false paths. Cal watched from the command room, his hands clenched. Come on, he whispered. Hours later, another signal came in. Naira's clan had entered the system. On the main screen, small, graceful ships appeared. They looked almost alive, their surfaces shifting softly with light. Naira let out a breath she had been holding for many days. They made it, she said. Haven Loop opened its docks. One by one, the clan's ships arrived, worn but strong. Beings of many shapes and colors stepped out, looking around with cautious eyes. Naira ran forward, and one of the elders of her clan embraced her. Their voices rose and fell in a gentle, flowing language that sounded like wind through leaves. Cal stood back, watching the reunion. He felt like he was seeing something rare and important. But the moment did not last. An alarm sounded. One of the dark ships had not followed the beacons. It had stayed hidden, waiting. It now moved toward Haven Loop, slow and sure. Mara took a deep breath. We can't run. The clan's ships need time to power up. Cal stared at the screen, his mind racing. Then we stall. He grabbed a communicator and opened a channel to the dark ship. This is Haven Loop, he said. You are entering a protected zone. A cold, calm voice replied. There is no such thing as a protected zone, only owned and unowned. Cal swallowed. The people you're looking for are under our care. The voice paused. Care does not change contracts. Naira stepped beside Cal. She spoke into the communicator, her voice steady. My people do not belong to you. Another pause. Then all who use the routes belong to the routes keepers. Mara leaned in. We are not on your routes. The dark ship slowed, its lights shifting. It was thinking. Cal took a chance. You can take our signals, our maps, our records, but you will not take our people. Silence filled the room. Finally, the voice returned. This place is small. You cannot hide forever. The ship turned away, moving back toward the edge of the system. No one spoke for several seconds. Then Naira's elder placed a hand on Cal's shoulder. You stood between the storm and the leaf, he said. That is a brave place to stand. Cal did not know what to say. Over the next days, Haven Loop changed. The Apache Star Clan did not leave. They worked with the humans and others, sharing their knowledge of moving habitats and living ships. Together, they began building something new, a mobile station, a place that could travel, not stay still, a home that did not belong to any root keeper. Cal helped weld frames and test engines. Naira worked with engineers, blending her people's organic designs with human metal and wires. As the structure grew, so did the sense of hope. One evening, Cal and Naira stood on a platform, watching the new station take shape against the stars. "I used to think the galaxy was a place you survived," Cal said. "Now I think it's a place you build." Naira nodded. "My people have always moved." "Maybe now we can choose where to stand." Cal smiled. "Guess I'm not much of a cowboy anymore." Naira laughed softly. "You still are, just on a bigger range." Above them, the stars burned quietly, and in their light something new was being born, not just a station. Not just an alliance. A promise that no one had to walk the galaxy alone. The new station did not look like anything the galaxy had seen before. It floated near Haven Loop like a growing star, made of human metal frames and Apache Star Clan living structures woven together. Some parts shone with smooth silver plates. Other parts glowed softly, like skin touched by moonlight. It moved gently, adjusting its shape as if it were breathing. People from many worlds worked side by side to finish it. Humans carried tools and welded beams. Apache engineers guided living sections into place, speaking in quiet tones that seemed to calm the growing structure. Others brought food, water, and power cells, turning the empty frame into a real home. Cal walked through one of the main corridors, looking around in wonder. He still found it hard to believe he had helped start all of this by offering water to a stranger on a dusty world. Naira walked beside him, her steps light. She greeted her people as they passed, and they greeted Cal as well, some with shy nods, others with curious smiles. "This place feels alive," Cal said. Naira touched the wall, feeling the soft warmth under her hand. "It is. My people grow their ships like gardens. They respond to care, not commands." Cal chuckled. "Humans are kind of the same." They reached a wide open room with a clear view of the stars. This would be the station's heart, where travelers could gather, rest, and share stories. Right now, it was full of workers and floating lights. Mara stood near the center, giving instructions. When she saw Cal and Naira, she waved them over. "We're almost ready for the first movement test," she said. "If this works, this station won't belong to any single system. It'll go where it's needed." Naira's eyes shone. "A home that can follow the lost," Cal nodded. Sounds like something worth building. But not everyone in the galaxy was happy. Far away in a dark and quiet command center, screens showed images of the new station. Tall figures watched in silence as data scrolled past. "They are creating a free route," one of them said. "A place outside our control," another replied. "If others follow, our power weakens." The leader of the group leaned forward. "Then we must remind the galaxy who sets the paths." Back at the station, Cal felt a strange feeling he could not explain, like the air before a storm. The first test began. The station's engines hummed, low and steady. Lights along the walls glowed brighter. Outside, the stars seemed to shift as space bent gently around the growing structure. Naira stood with her elders and Mara on the main platform. Cal held onto a railing, feeling the vibration through his boots. "Movement in 3, Mara called out. 2, 1. The station slid forward, slow and smooth. A cheer rose from the workers. The station moved through space like a calm ship on a quiet sea. No sharp jumps. No violent pulls, just steady motion. Naira closed her eyes for a moment. "My people have dreamed of this," she said softly. "A home that can travel without fear." The test ended safely. The station came to a gentle stop in a new position, with a different star shining through the main window. That night there was a small celebration. People shared food from many worlds. Music filled the air, strange and beautiful. Some danced, others simply sat and watched the stars together. Cal sat on a bench, holding a cup of warm drink, feeling more at peace than he had in years. Naira joined him. "You look like someone who finally found a place to rest." Cal smiled. "Didn't know I was tired until now." They watched a group of children, human and Apache, chasing floating lights across the floor, laughing. "This is what they tried to take from us," Naira said quietly. "Not just water or roots, moments like this." Cal nodded. "They won't get it." "Not anymore." The next day, a warning came. Haven Loop's long-range sensors picked up multiple ships approaching. Not 3, not 5, a fleet. Mara gathered everyone in the command room. The screen showed dark shapes moving together like a storm cloud. "They're not hiding this time," one officer said. "They want to be seen." Naira's elders spoke among themselves in low voices. "They mean to make an example," one of them said, "to show that even a moving home can be hunted." Cal felt his hands tight. "So what do we do?" Mara took a deep breath. "We move. We show them we don't need their paths. We don't need their permission." The plan formed quickly. The new station would jump to a quiet region of space known only in old human records and Apache memory. A place between major routes, full of natural signal noise and strange light patterns. Hard to follow, hard to control. The fleet drew closer as people rushed to finish the final systems. Cal ran power checks. Naira helped guide her people into their ships, which now docked smoothly with the living station. The engines of the station began to glow brighter, pulling energy from every system. The dark ship sent a message. "You cannot run forever," the cold voice said. "The galaxy has rules." Cal opened a channel. "Then maybe it's time for new ones." The fleet moved faster. Mara shouted, "Jump now!" The station's engines flared with light. Space twisted, stars stretching into long lines. For a moment, everything went silent, then calm. The station appeared in a wide, quiet region filled with soft clouds of glowing gas. Light bent strangely here, making the stars look like they were underwater. Cheers and cries of relief filled the halls. Naira held her elders' hands. "We are free," she whispered. But the story did not end there. Messages began to arrive from far systems. Travelers had heard of a moving station that helped without asking for contracts or payment. Refugees, traders, and explorers all sent requests, hoping to find this new home among the stars. Myra looked at the growing list and laughed softly. "Looks like we started something big." Cal leaned against the wall. "Guess kindness travels faster than ships." The station began to move again, slow and steady, answering calls for help across the galaxy. They rescued a lost mining crew trapped near a dying star. They guided a group of traders through a dangerous nebula. They gave shelter to families fleeing a collapsing world. With every stop, the legend grew. The route keepers tried to follow, but the station never stayed in one place for long. It moved through forgotten paths, guided by human courage and Apache memory. One evening, Cal stood alone in the main window room, watching a bright blue planet spin below. Naira joined him. "Do you ever miss Dustfall 9? She asked. Cal thought about the wind, the empty sky, the quiet days. "Sometimes," he said, "but I think I was always meant to leave it." Naira smiled. "My people believe some stars choose you, not the other way around." Cal looked at the moving station, at the people laughing and working and living together. "Then I think this one chose me." Far away, the fleet of dark ships watched from the edge of a star system, unable to lock onto the moving signal. Their leader turned away from the screen. "They have become more than a station," he said. "They have become an idea." And ideas, he knew, were harder to control than any ship. As the station drifted through the glowing clouds, carrying hope from system to system, a simple truth spread with it. No matter how big the galaxy was, there would always be room for those who chose to stand together instead of alone. The moving station had traveled for many cycles now, far beyond the place where it was first born. Its name had changed many times in many languages, but most people simply called it home among stars. It did not belong to one world or one species. It belonged to anyone who needed a place to breathe, to rest, and to hope. Cal often walked through its long halls, listening to the sounds of life around him. Children ran past, their laughter echoing against the curved walls. Engineers talked in quiet groups, pointing at floating screens filled with maps and plans. Travelers from distant systems sat together, sharing food and stories, even if they did not share the same words. The station glowed softly, its living walls responding to the movement and voices of those inside. It felt warm, safe, and alive. Cal sometimes thought back to Dustfall 9, the empty sky, the wind that never stopped, the lonely water station at the edge of everything. It felt like another lifetime. Now he stood in the middle of something much bigger than himself. Naira walked beside him, carrying a small device that showed the station's path through the stars. Her role had changed over time. She was no longer just a traveler or a survivor. She had become a bridge between peoples, helping them understand each other's ways and fears. "The next system is quiet," she said. A blue sun with 3 small planets. One of them has a settlement that sent a weak signal. They are low on power. Cal nodded. Then that's where we go. They entered the main command room, where Mara and several others were already studying the star maps. Power station on the 3rd planet is failing, Mara said. They tried to fix it, but their tools are old. If it goes dark, their food systems will stop. Cal leaned over the map. We have the parts they need, and the people, Naira smiled. And the will. The station changed course, its engines humming gently as it turned toward the blue sun. When they arrived, the planet below was a mix of green land and shining water. Small cities glowed on the dark side, their lights flickering like tired stars. A group of small ships rose to meet the station. Their designs were simple, clearly built from what the settlers could find and fix. Cal, Naira, and a team of engineers traveled down to the surface. The settlement was built near a wide river. Houses made of metal and stone stood close together, forming a circle around a tall, thin tower. The tower's lights were dim. The people there greeted them with cautious hope. Their leader, a short man with tired eyes, stepped forward. We heard stories, he said, about a station that helps without asking for payment. We didn't know if they were true, Cal smiled. Stories like that usually start with someone who just needed water. They worked through the day. Human tools and Apache living tech blended together, fixing broken systems and strengthening weak parts of the tower. The power lights grew brighter, and the hum of working machines filled the air. As night fell, the settlement's people brought out food and warm drinks. They sat together under the blue sun's fading light, sharing simple meals and quiet thanks. Naira watched children chase glowing insects near the river. Cal sat beside her, feeling the cool air on his face. This is why we keep moving, Naira said. Cal nodded. Yeah, this is it. Back on the station, messages waited. Some were thanks, some were calls for help, some were simple questions. Is it true you don't charge for routes? Is it true anyone can come? Is it true you stand between people and those who try to own them? Myra gathered the main crew in the central hall. The lights dimmed slightly as the living walls grew still, as if the station itself was listening. We've become something the galaxy is watching, she said. Some will follow, some will try to stop us. We need to decide what we are clearly and together. Silence filled the room. Naira stepped forward. My people once believed survival meant always moving, never standing. Humans once believed progress meant building and holding. Together, we have learned something new. Cal joined her. We're not a fortress, we're not a business, we're a promise. Myra looked at him. A promise of what? Cal took a breath. That no one has to face the galaxy alone. That help doesn't need a price. That kindness is not weakness. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. Then slowly people began to nod. An elder from a different world raised a hand. We will stand with you. Another voice followed. So will we. The decision was made without a vote, without a contract, without a signature. It was made by choice. Far away in a quiet and controlled system, the route keepers watched their screens. Reports showed the moving station appearing in more and more places, helping, guiding, building. Their leader leaned back in his chair. We can't block every path, he said, and we can't own an idea. One of his advisors spoke softly. What if we join it? The leader did not answer right away. He looked at the stars beyond the window. On the station, life continued. A group of traders taught Apache engineers how to repair old engines faster. Apache guides taught humans how to read gravity waves like wind on water. Children grew up hearing stories about many worlds instead of just one. Cal started training new volunteers. People who wanted to take the long routes, who wanted to be the first face someone saw when they thought they were truly alone. One day, a young woman approached him. I heard you once ran a water station on a dead world, she said. Cal laughed. That's one way to say it. Why did you leave? She asked. Cal thought about the dust, the wind, and the 2 small coins in Naira's hand. Because someone knocked on my door, he said, and I realized the galaxy is full of doors. Naira became known across systems as a speaker of peace and paths. When disputes rose between groups, she listened. She helped them see each other not as rivals, but as travelers on the same wide road. One quiet cycle, Cal and Naira stood together in the main window room. A bright yellow star shone outside, its light painting the station in warm colors. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you said no? Naira asked. Cal smiled. All the time. And I think the galaxy would still be big, still cold, still full of stars. But this part of it would be a little darker. Naira placed a hand on the living wall. It pulsed gently under her touch. "My people say light is not something you find," she said. "It is something you carry." The station changed course again, answering another distant call. As it moved, stories moved with it. Stories of a human who bet on a stranger, of an Apache traveler who trusted a cowboy on a dusty world, of a place that did not belong to power or profit but to choice. Years passed. The station grew larger, stronger, and more beautiful. New sections were added, shaped by new cultures and ideas. It became less like a ship and more like a small, moving world. And in the wide, quiet spaces between stars, when travelers felt lost or afraid, they looked for a soft glow in the dark. They looked for home among stars. Cal stood on a platform watching a small ship dock. A family stepped out, tired and unsure, holding each other's hands. He walked forward and smiled. "Welcome," he said. "You're safe here." Behind him, the station hummed with life. Ahead of him, the galaxy waited, wide and full of paths yet to be walked. And somewhere, far from where it all began, the simple truth that started it all still shone, stronger than any star. Humanity's greatest strength was not in its ships or its machines. It was in its choice to care.